my name is Emma Johansen. I'm a recent graduate of the University of Louisville, where I received my bachelor's in history, and I've been working with the Filson for a little over a year. I first started as an intern under Danielle Spolenka, and I helped to digitize and put online the Baptist Orphan Home Collection and the sheet music collection, where you can now peruse to your heart's content. And now I'm back not just as a collections assistant under Heather Potter, but I'm also back with the Bullitt Family Collection, where we are starting to digitize and catalog the extensive Bullitt family collection and trying to find African American genealogies inside the Bullitt family papers. So I've pulled some really cool objects for you today. First off is one of my favorite objects ever. It's really rare to have a photo of an enslaved woman, but we have two. This is one of them. This is Louisiana Taylor and Helen Stites, pictured around 1870s. Louisiana was born in 1805. She was named after the Louisiana Purchase, and she was gifted to Mildred Ann Fry, who would later become Mildred Ann Bullitt, when she was only 3 days old. She was a birthday present to Mildred Ann Bullitt. Next, we have this ledger book from William Christian Bullitt. It's very fragile, but it lists a lot of names that we would often find in wills, articles of agreements, list of bonds. Unfortunately, when we are looking for African American genealogies, the only thing that we can find out about a person is their name, listed as a part of a property listing, gifted to somebody after a slave owner's death. Sometimes within a will, very rarely, but sometimes they would be freed after a slave owner's death, but usually we have to read against the archival grain, against these white interpretations of these Black people's lives, and it's difficult to find records and dig through who they were as people when we are reading artifacts from people that only saw them as property. Next, we have an accounting book from Alexander Scott Bullitt. This is also very fragile. It was around like the late 1700s and early 1800s. It lists countless names like Venus and Lucinda, names that it would when they would be traded as like loans to other slave owners across the state, because that was usually how the Bullitt family made money, was by having articles of agreement and loaning slaves and slave labor to other slave owners across Kentucky and in the Ohio Valley region. Books like this would list how many times they would be rented out, what their price was, when they were pregnant, which is extremely important when we're trying to find African American genealogies and figuring out who is directly related to who and who is their mother, their father. When we're looking at African American genealogies, the definition we have of family is often shifting. It's often, instead of biological family, because there are items and people that we will never know if they're biologically related, but they are tied together as a family under the plantation system and under this community that they have fostered during enslavement. Then we also have one of the common artifacts that we see are articles of agreement. These would be, bills of contract that William Christian Bullitt, Alexander Scott Bullitt, and their descendants would sign with those that are renting out Black slave labor. And these are extremely important in that they often list their names. So right here, 8 slaves, to wit, James, Charles, Daniel, Stephen, Jerry, Bill, Simon, and Lucinda, who is also the wife of Daniel, and then during the term of 2 years. And so these would lend out slaves for about 2 years on another person's farm. So see, it's signed by Alexander Scott Bullitt and J.A. Tarascon. And then over here, we also have William Christian Bullitt and Alexander Scott Bullitt were very diligent in their notes. So when they would rent out a slave, they would also write it in a statement of the bonds. This is from 1795, and here it also lists their names. And that's really what we're looking for when we are searching for African American genealogies. There's Hannibal, James again, William Trigg, Ben, Charles, Venus and family, Tom and family, Caesar, Delphia and Simon, who were married, Kaya, and then Ben. See, with these two Ben names, it often gets very complicated because you are finding the same names over and over again. There are multiple Venuses, there are multiple Bens, Williams, Henrys, both inside the Bullitt family and inside the families that they enslaved. So African American genealogy is an extremely difficult field, but it is very worthwhile, and we hope that this information and this collection that's soon to be online will be able to help you in finding your own family genealogies or your own familial connections. So stay tuned.